Stop killing these 6 backyard weeds. Some may be more valuable than the vegetables you're trying to grow. Honestly, we buy organic greens at Whole Foods, supplements at Costco, and fertilizer at Home Depot. Then come home and destroy plants that may offer food, medicine, and soil support for free. One weed on this list contains plant-based omega-3s. Another appears before your spring garden even wakes up. So before you spray, mow, or pull everything out, look closer. These 6 common American weeds may completely change how you see your yard. Quick safety note: only eat wild plants when you're 100% sure of the ID, and avoid anything sprayed, roadside, or near pet areas. Section 1. Dandelion, the weed. Americans love to spray. Let's start with the one almost everyone in America recognizes: dandelion. You've seen it in the lawn, along the sidewalk, beside the driveway, around the edge of a raised bed. That bright yellow flower that turns into a white puffball your kids probably blew across the yard at least once. And honestly, most people see it and think one thing: I need to get rid of that. But here's the thing. Dandelion was not always treated like a lawn problem. For a long time, it was treated like food. It was treated like a useful herb. European settlers actually brought it to North America on purpose because they knew it had value. So the plant many people spray every spring may be one of the most useful greens in the entire yard. Dandelion greens are known for being rich in vitamin K, beta-carotene, and minerals like calcium. And the whole plant has uses. The young leaves can go into salads, omelets, or sautéed greens. The flowers can be used for tea or syrup. The roots can be roasted into a coffee-style herbal drink. And this is where it gets interesting. Dandelion does all of this without asking you for anything. No seed packet, no fertilizer, no irrigation system, no little plastic plant from the nursery. It grows in compacted soil, survives mowing, comes back year after year, and sends down a deep taproot like it has no intention of leaving. Now think about the money side for a second. You could spend $6 on a small box of organic greens at Whole Foods, $20 on herbal tea, and another $40 trying to kill dandelions in your lawn. Or you could learn to recognize the edible plant already growing 10 feet from your back door. That's the shift. It wasn't always a weed. We made it one. And modern science isn't really discovering dandelion from scratch. It's catching up to why people used it for generations. But dandelion is mostly about vitamins, minerals, and old-school usefulness. The next weed goes after something Americans spend billions chasing in supplement form. Section 2. Purslane, the backyard weed, that acts like an omega-3 supplement. Now, the next one looks nothing like dandelion. Purslane grows low to the ground, almost like a tiny succulent. It has thick, juicy leaves, reddish stems, and it tends to creep through raised beds, garden paths, patio cracks, and those dry corners of the yard where almost nothing else seems happy. And most gardeners see it in July or August and think, great, another weed. But here's the surprising part. Purslane is not just some messy plant invading your tomato bed. It is one of the rare leafy greens known for containing alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid, along with antioxidants and minerals. In other words, the weed people pull out of their garden may be doing something your fish oil bottle promises to do. And honestly, this is where it gets a little embarrassing. A lot of people will walk into Costco, buy a giant bottle of omega-3 capsules, bring it home, set it on the kitchen counter, and then go outside and rip purslane out of the soil like it's garbage. You might spend $20 or $30 every month on supplements. But purslane asks for almost nothing. Once you learn to identify it safely, you can let a small patch grow in the corner of a raised bed, along a garden path, or even in a hot patio container. And it doesn't just survive summer heat, it loves it. When lettuce is wilting, spinach has bolted, and cilantro has completely given up. Purslane is usually still green, crisp, and spreading like it owns the place. That's the real advantage here. It is not just a health plant, it is value, it is control, it is anti-waste. In some cultures, this is not a weed at all. it is food. Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, and Mexican-style cooking have all used purslane as a summer green. It can go into tacos, salads, sandwiches, soups, or anywhere you want something slightly tangy, crunchy, and fresh. Modern wellness language calls it omega-3s and antioxidants. But people were eating this plant long before anyone put those words on a supplement label. And once you realize one weed can act like a supplement, the next question is obvious. What else are we pulling out that could replace expensive grocery store greens? Section 3. Lamb's Quarters, the wild spinach that shows up for free. Now, this next weed is less famous, but once you learn it, you may start seeing it everywhere. Lamb's quarters often shows up around garden edges, compost piles, farm margins, vacant lots, and disturbed soil. It has soft green leaves, often with a dusty white coating underneath, and at first glance, it looks like wild spinach. And here's the thing, that comparison is pretty accurate. Lamb's quarters is not just a random weed beside your vegetables. It is basically wild spinach with a quinoa connection. It belongs to the same plant family as quinoa, which makes the whole situation almost ridiculous. People pay for quinoa bowls and organic spinach while a wild relative may be growing near the compost pile for free. Lamb's quarters leaves provide protein, iron, calcium, and vitamins A and C, making them surprisingly nutrient-dense for a plant most people never planted. And unlike spinach, it does not need pampering. You can buy spinach seed, prepare the raised bed, water it, protect it from bugs, and still watch it bolt the moment summer heat hits. Meanwhile, lamb's quarters may be growing 3 feet away with zero attention. That is the pattern. We pay for fragile greens and pull out resilient ones. And this is not some new backyard trend. Native American communities used and cultivated lamb's quarters long before it was dismissed as a weed. The leaves were food. The seeds had value. It was part of a practical food system. Modern nutrition gives us words like protein, minerals, and vitamin density. But older cultures already understood the bigger truth. Useful food plants do not always come in seed packets. In the kitchen, lamb's quarters is simple. Cook it like spinach. Sauté it with garlic. Stir it into soup. Add it to eggs. Use it anywhere you want a practical cooked green. It may not be the prettiest patio plant, and it is not something most people grow indoors. But in a backyard garden, compost edge, or homestead plot, it can be incredibly valuable. But food value is not only about protein. Sometimes the most useful plant is the one growing where normal vegetables refuse to grow. Section 4. Wood sorrel, the tiny sour green, hiding in the shade. Now, let's move to a plant most people barely notice. Wood sorrel is small, low-growing, and easy to mistake for clover. You'll often find it in shady backyard corners, under trees, along fence lines, or near the edge of a patio. Places where tomatoes, peppers, and lettuce usually struggle. And honestly, that's what makes it interesting. Wood sorrel is not just a tiny green thing hiding in the shade. It has delicate heart-shaped leaves, small yellow or white flowers, and a bright sour flavor that almost tastes like nature's version of lemon. Wood sorrel gets that sharp, tangy flavor from oxalic acid, and it has long been valued as a fresh wild green. Now, because of that oxalic acid, this is not something to eat by the bowlful. Use it lightly, especially if you deal with kidney issues or need to watch oxalates. But as a small garnish, it brings a fresh, lemony note that most backyard greens simply don't have. And here's the thing. People will spend $5 or $6 on a tiny box of microgreens at the grocery store, then step right over the little sour greens growing under the fence. That's the reframe. Premium garnish on one side. Ignored backyard garnish on the other. In many cultures, wild sour greens were used to brighten simple meals long before grocery stores gave us lemons year-round and plastic boxes of specialty greens. That sharp flavor was not a trend. It was a practical way to make food feel fresh and alive. Modern science helps us understand the compounds and the safety side. But the basic experience is much older. People have always noticed plants that bring brightness, freshness, and contrast to a meal. In everyday American cooking, wood sorrel works best in small amounts. Sprinkle it over salad, add it to tacos. Use it on fish, eggs, or roasted vegetables when you want a light lemony note. And because it grows in partial shade, it can fit into a shady patio container or the dead zones where normal vegetables struggle. And that brings us to a weed that changes the whole conversation, because the next plant doesn't just feed you, it feeds the soil. Section 5. Clover, the living fertilizer in the American lawn. Now, clover is where the whole story starts to change. Because with dandelion, purslane, lamb's quarters, and wood sorrel, we're mostly talking about food. But clover does something deeper. It works on the soil itself. You've seen it before. Tiny, 3-part leaves, little white or red flower heads spreading low through the grass. In a lot of American neighborhoods, clover gets treated like a sign that the lawn is messy or neglected. But here's the thing. Clover is not lawn failure. Clover is a nitrogen-fixing legume, meaning it works with soil bacteria to pull nitrogen from the air and make it available in the soil. So clover is not just something growing in your lawn, it is doing work your fertilizer bag is trying to do. And honestly, once you see it that way, mowing it down starts to feel a little strange. Clover is perennial. It is low maintenance. It supports bees and other pollinators. It can act like a living mulch, a cover crop, or a soft green pathway between raised beds. And then there's the money side. You could walk into Lowe's or Home Depot and spend money on fertilizer, soil amendments, and lawn products, or you could let clover do part of that work naturally under your feet. That is not just a gardening tip. It is a mindset shift. One path keeps you buying inputs every season. The other asks you to recognize a plant that is already building fertility in the background, and this is not new. Before synthetic nitrogen fertilizer became normal, farmers planted clover on purpose to restore tired fields. It was not a weed. It was a tool. Now, regenerative gardeners, organic growers, and low-mow lawn people are starting to look at clover again with fresh eyes. Not as a problem, but as a sign of a living yard. In everyday use, you can let white clover stay in a low-mow lawn. You can plant it in paths between raised beds. You can use it as a cover crop. Red clover flowers can be dried for herbal tea, and clover sprouts can even be grown indoors in a simple jar or tray. But the final weed may be the most important one, not because it looks impressive, but because it shows up before almost anything else can. Section 6. Chickweed, the spring green that arrives. Before your garden wakes up now, the final weed may not look impressive at first. Chickweed grows low to the ground, almost like a soft green carpet with tiny oval leaves, thin trailing stems, and small white flowers that look like little stars. Most people just see a mat of weeds near the raised beds under fruit trees, or along the garden edge in late winter or early spring. But here's the thing. Chickweed matters because of timing. It shows up when your garden is still asleep. If you live in a part of America with real seasons, you know that strange gap. The seed catalogs are out, the tomato starts are still indoors, the raised beds are cold, and you're weeks away from your first real harvest. That is exactly when chickweed starts appearing. When chickweed is valued as a mild edible green that provides vitamin C and minerals during the cool season. It is not flashy. It is not expensive. But honestly, its greatest advantage is that it arrives early. You might be buying spring mix from the grocery store while waiting for your seeds to germinate. But chickweed may already be spreading quietly near your garden beds. That is the difference between buying freshness and recognizing early season freshness. For older food traditions, wild spring greens mattered because they appeared after winter, right when people were craving fresh food again. Today, we might call chickweed a foraged green or a cool season edible. But to earlier generations, it was simply one of the first signs that fresh food was coming back. In everyday use, chickweed can be eaten as a mild salad green, tucked into a sandwich, mixed into a spring salad, or used with other backyard greens. It can grow around raised bed edges, backyard gardens, orchard understories, or even in a shallow container on a cool patio. Of course, identify it correctly before eating it. But chickweed is the final plant for a raisin. Not because it is famous or expensive, but because it shows up at the right time. And when you put all 6 plants together, this is no longer about weeds, it is about a food system we were trained not to see. Dandelion feeds you with minerals. Purslane brings omega-3s. Lamb's quarters gives protein. Wood sorrel adds fresh sour greens. Clover feeds the soil. Chickweed fills the early spring food gap. The problem isn't that your yard has weeds, it's that lawn culture taught us not to see value. Before you spray or mow everything down, look closer. Which of these weeds have you seen in your yard? Comment below and subscribe to turn overlooked plants into real food and garden value.